Welcome to the series Person of Interest, brought to you by the Australian Investigation Agency, fighting for truth, accountability and justice. My name is John Armfield. In 2021, I began asking questions about the in-service death of my brother Andrew, who died by suicide while serving in the Royal Australian Air Force in 2011. I received the official inquiry officer's inquiry report only because of the Royal Commission into Defence and Veterans Suicide. What followed changed everything. My 20-year Navy career as a clearance diver, a career I loved, and I deployed at every rank on every operation ever asked of me, was suddenly under threat. This is my story. Episode 1, The Ignored Warnings. A life lost, a duty ignored. Defence had the policies. The question I'm asking is, were they followed? RAF Base, Edinburgh, 2011. My brother attempted suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning in his car. He was found by colleagues, the police were called, and the incident ended violently as officers were forced to act to save his life. Andrew suffered severe injuries and a stroke. To the police who attended that day, I want to say, I'm truly sorry for the trauma that scene may have caused. After any non-fatal suicide attempt, Defence Instruction Personnel 16-26, management of a suicidal episode, requires that commanders must convene a risk management team within 48 hours after any non-fatal suicidal behaviour, and that a crisis management plan be developed to ensure ongoing support. The official inquiry later confirmed that neither measure was activated. The situation. At the time, the commanding officer of No. 1 Remote Sensor Unit decided these directives did not apply in this case. His executive officer had recommended forming the risk management team as policy required. The defence instruction, however, makes no such exception. It applies automatically after any non-fatal attempt. The inquiry officer's report notes that command staff, including the base warrant officer, understood the policy, notified the CO, but later agreed with medical that it was not necessary. The inquiry officer wrote that this appeared inconsistent with defence policy and should warrant further consideration at a higher level. Para 183 of the inquiry officer's inquiry report states the processes contemplated by defence policy do not appear to have been applied. They point to an apparent disconnect between ADF doctrine and the practical treatment of ADF personnel not immediately within ADF care. Para 186 of the inquiry report also adds, there appears to be a systemic issue within the Edinburgh Health Centre and manning shortages which may affect compliance with defence instructions and health policy did occur. The inquiry officer concluded, following legal advice, that no adverse findings would be made against either the commanding officer or the senior medical officer. In reflection, in March 2025, Defence formally acknowledged that they failed to provide the level of care expected for my brother's case and said that changes have been made to policy. Let's look at the contrast. Within Defence, the concept of accountability can shift between and depending on rank. My brother, Private Andrew Armfield, once deployed with his unit under a direct order to carry a radio. When no batteries could be located and the chain of command was uncontactable, he used his judgment, leaving the radio behind, knowing it was inoperable and ineffective without power, but would still require a security picket to guard it. For that decision, Andrew was charged under the Defence Force Discipline Act, Section 27, disobedience of a lawful command. He pleaded guilty, accepted responsibility, and was sentenced by a subordinate summary authority to 4 days restriction of privileges. Accountability was swift, clear, and absolute. Yet when command level decisions failed to follow mandatory suicide prevention policies written to protect lives, no one is charged, no one was disciplined, and no one held to account. One law for the enlisted and another for those in positions of power. Policies are written in blood. They exist because someone once paid the price. When those policies are set aside, accountability cannot be optional. So Australia, you decide. Did the Australian Defence Force and those in command make the right decision? Did those in leadership roles with the leadership responsibilities have the right to make those decisions not to comply? Did the ADF fail with their intervention, noting my brother's successful suicide attempt in October 2011? And when legal advises an inquiry officer not to purport to make adverse findings, is that a fair and independent inquiry or investigation? Australia, this is your military. You make the decisions. Thank you.